Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to An Orange Life. Thanks for tuning in. This is Deanna. I'm so glad that you tuned in. Welcome, new subscribers. Thank you for comment, sharing, subscribing. Thank you so much. On the road to 1,000, guys. When I get to 1,000, I'm coming on and I'm doing live. You get to see my face, y'all. Okay, you see the thumbnail. The dark side of pretty privilege. The psychology of women, the teenage years is going up next week, and I got a 2A coming out of that too. But let's focus on this video, this topic right now. So let me start by defining my definition of pretty privilege, and then we're going to move forward. Pretty privilege is what very attractive individuals receive just for being attractive. They get, they get in VIP, they get free stuff, all kinds of perks. People will do things for them. They will, you know, uh, make allowances for them, make excuses for behavior, things like that. And to give you an example of what I'm saying, I was on the Tickety Talks, and I was watching this three-part thing about this young girl in court. She was like 22, and she was in front of a judge, black judge, but she was a very pretty girl, very pretty young girl. And this girl was doing all kind of child. She was in a high speed chase with the cops, child, 100 miles an hour, and that wasn't even her first one. It was her second one. The first time she had a baby in the car. The prosecutor was mad as hell at the judge because of the sentence she got, because the prosecutor was saying that she's a danger to society, and she's sitting up there talking about, oh, it's my baby father, I gotta leave him alone and this and that. I got two kids, 1 and 2, and all this kind of stuff. So she's sitting there, crying, giving the sad eyes and batting, and she didn't go to jail. Well, yes and no. He gave her 5 years probation. She had to do weekend jail for 6 weeks, just to go every weekend for 6 weeks. And she had to do like some community service or something else. But for what she was doing, she was driving 100 miles an hour, being chased by the police. And that was the second time with the boyfriend or whatever, with a child in the car. And this girl still ain't served not really 1 day in jail. She's going to be doing the weekend thing. And I was looking at her and I said, you know what? Because the judge kept looking at her. I said, you know what? If this girl was unattractive, I don't think she would have got that time. I really don't. I think that he would at least gave her some real jail time. Like even if he gave her a couple years or something like that. He still would have gave her something, because that girl was standing up there batting her eyes and and I said okay, but see, that's what pretty privilege is. So the point I'm making is, when you are very attractive in this world, there's always going to be some leniencies and some allowances made for you, excuses. Because the best thing I could say is that damn Krishan. I just did a video about that. She is a perfect example of what pretty privilege is. No matter what this girl do, somebody is always going to take up for her, make excuses, and make allowances for bad behavior. If it was anybody else, if she did not look like Rashawn, if it was another female, let's say it was Fantasia, and I'm not calling Fantasia ugly, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, if it was another female that does not have pretty privilege, because Fantasia does not have pretty privilege. So if there's another female that doesn't have pretty privilege, they'd have ate her up, tore her up, spit her out. She'd have been shut down. Nobody would have heard from her again. But because this girl has pretty privilege, this is why this is going on. So now let's go over some of the points of what are the dark side. What are the dark side of pretty privilege? First of all, they all say, because I've spoken to women, very attractive women, about this. They say they can't keep friends. The reason why they can't keep female friends: jealous, competition. They can't, very attractive women, other women don't like to be with them, because when they go out, all the men want to come to them. They want to buy them drinks. They want them to come to VIP, and other women feel intimidated. They it bothers their self-esteem, so it's hard for them to keep friends for long periods of time. They don't keep friends. Uh, the next one is, men really don't get to know them. I was sitting talking to these young ladies, all of these, talking to 8 young ladies, and they're all very attractive women. And they said that men don't take the time to really get to know them. they're so focused on how they look and how they talk and how they walk, and they don't even dig deep. They don't ask them about their childhood. They don't ask them about, what do they what are their dreams or aspirations. They don't never ask that. All, they just ask basic stuff like, what do you do, where do you work, but they don't get to know them because they're too fascinated by the way that they look. So that's another issue that very attractive women have. um Also, they say that men want to possess and control them. Men want, because they're very attractive, men want to parade them around their friends and colleagues. And, they like to possess them. And usually, very attractive women, they usually date men with money. Usually, that's how it goes. And we all know that. Very attractive women always wind up, even if you take it back to when they're teenagers, very attractive girls, usually, who do they wind up with? The quarterback on a football team. Who's usually the very attractive girl? The head cheerleader. It's usually some, we know how this goes. It's movie after movie on this. It's usually a head cheerleader with the star quarterback. It's usually a cheerleader with the star basketball player. We already know how that goes. The very attractive women always get the top tier men as far as money, power, and status. So we already know that. But the dark side of that is that men in those categories, they want to possess and control very attractive women because of the fact that, especially if that man thinks that he has a real prize. For example, Jay-Z and Beyonce. It's a lot of back and forth conversations and accusations or whatever of Jay-Z controlling Beyonce or whatever. But see, that's all a part of it. Jay-Z is a powerful man. He has a very beautiful wife who just happens to be a superstar. So to us, Beyonce is the superstar and everything else, but to Jay Z, that's his wife that he, tells her, listen, you're this, and the third. So that's what I'm saying. Very attractive women, those are the things that they have to deal with because they have to deal with men that are very controlling, and it can become dangerous because sometimes these men can become violent, and that's never good. Also, these women are, a lot of them are stalked and preyed upon because there are men out here that, they'll try to talk to these women. The women will reject them. Then they want to stalk them. Some of them will SA these women. These are the things that happen. It has happened many times to very attractive women. They tell men no, and the next thing that's what's going on. They're being attacked. So that's why I said the dark side of pretty privilege. People look at very attractive people and think that their life is so great, and in many cases, it's not. Very attractive people can be very lonely because they don't keep a lot of friends, and it's hard for them to have meaningful relationships because people have preconceived notions about them. Um, Oh, I was talking about how it's hard to find meaningful relationships. Now, let me venture off into this part about very attractive people. With very attractive people, they've been hearing their whole life, ever since they were little, how attractive they are and how things are given to them, how life is easier for them because they are very attractive, allowances are made and things like that. And because very attractive women, this is what's going on with them. This is where things split, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. We're talking about the dark side of pretty privilege. Now, let's come off of the dark side for a minute, and let's just talk about very attractive women who are not on the dark side of pretty privilege. The women who are not on the dark side of pretty privilege, these are the women who do not use their looks to in a negative way. And when I say a negative way, I'm going to get to that. women who are very attractive, that there are women out here that are very attractive who marry well, educated women, um, have a lot going on for themselves, and they're living very, healthy, fulfilled lives, as well as it could be for anybody else, living in America today. So, pretty privilege, it has its good and bad. Now, the reason why the attractive women on that are not on the dark side do well is basically because how they grew up, what they were exposed to, and how they were treated growing up. Because what it is that sometimes when you have very attractive women, they're preyed upon a lot throughout their life. Now, depending on how much protection a very attractive woman has, and when I say protection, I mean family protection when she's growing up, that's the difference between being on the dark side and being on the other side. Because if a very attractive young girl is protected by a father, family, and things like that, then she can grow up and do well. Like she can, grow up, educate herself, meet a nice guy, get married, have a halfway decent life, halfway decent. Because I know some very attractive women who have married well, that have been married for over 20 years and is living pretty much a good life. They're living in their dream home, their life is pretty much okay. It's not, you know a fantasy, but it's not bad either. So I know women like that. Now, when we talk about pretty privilege and the dark side, these women on this side, a lot of them have been assaulted, essayed. A lot of them have been mistreated. A lot of them have been abused. And this is why they do what they do. And this is when we get to the Dreas of the world and the Krishans of the world. Because these women know that they have pretty privilege, but they use it the wrong way. They believe that, you know, um, we all know with women, when you're very attractive, men will take care of you. Well, these women on the dark side, they go from man to man to man because they know a man is going to take care of them. However, they also desire marriage and a family, but they're not going to get that because they're being passed around. But see, the thing about these women on this side, they don't realize that they're not going to get what they want because they're jumping from man to man, thinking that each man is going to wife them. And that's not the case. All these men want to do is use them. And see, when you're very attractive and you have pretty privilege, but you're damaged, you can't see that. All you can see is that you want somebody to rescue you. That's all you can see. So these women go from man to man looking for protection, provide, to be taken care of and protection, but it's not going to happen because what's really going on is you need protection from the men you even dealing with because these men are treating you horribly. And this is why they go from man to man to man. When you look at Drea, Joy, when you look at Corinne Steffens, when you look at all these beautiful women that have not been married, or they have been married and they're just going from man to man to man, and these are very attractive women, it's because it's either some assault in their history or very low self-esteem or both, because of the simple fact these women desire the same things that we all desire. But the difference is that very attractive women, they think it's going to happen like this because they're attractive. So they go from man to man to man thinking they're going to achieve their goal because of the fact they're beautiful. It's like, listen, I'm the preference. I'm what everybody want out here. But as we see with Drea, that's not happening. And that's because Drea has went from man to man to man. She has done everything she could to be with men, and she didn't invest in herself. She invested in men. She's more so out here for men than herself. Because if she would have invested in herself, she wouldn't be sitting up here pregnant by a young man under 25, because you would be self sufficient. And that's something you wouldn't want to do. At 39, you don't want to turn around and have another baby when you have a grown child. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think Drea does have another child, but I'm not sure. If somebody could comment on it in the comments, I would like to know if she does have another child, and if so, how old the child is, because I don't think Drea has any young children. But and Joy Chavis is another one. She has two kids by two rappers, and now you're pregnant by a ball player. So it's, so again, these women desire the family, the relationship in the family, but they're not going to get it, because again, these women have used their looks to get what they want intentionally, and but they're doing it with the wrong people, because they're so, twisted themselves mentally, that they can't see that these people are not good for them. Drea should know. Drea's been in the game a minute. You should know not to get pregnant by a ball player. You've been in this game for a minute. But again, Drea is desperate, and she's crashing out. She's 39. She's going on 40. She knows she don't have much time left in this game. She know that her name is going to start disappearing. She knows that. Having this baby has her name out there for now. But after she has that baby, and after a couple years go by, people are going to be like, Drea who? Because she's going to be in her 40s at this point, going towards her 50s. Nobody's going to care. Drea, this is her last ditch effort of trying to get something, because Drea knows that the clock is ticking. And that's the problem with pretty privilege on the dark side. You're racing against time. Because, see, when you're on the other side of it, you don't have to race against time. You found your mate. Your man loves you for you. He's ready to rock out with you however long it takes. But when you're over here on the dark side, it's difficult for you to find a man, because you've been with every man that's in your circle. And you're on Instagram, posing. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I'm sorry, but no matter how beautiful you are, men do not want to wife women that look like hoes in the public. They just don't. And Drea, I'm not saying that she is one. I'm saying perception is everything. And it is rumored that Drea has been with a lot of men in the industry. There was just another somebody else had called out that he was with Drea, and she said she never been with him. But again, Drea's reputation is so bad. How do we know it's even true? That's the problem. But see, that's what happens with the dark side of pretty privilege. Drea is a very beautiful girl, but the way Drea has maneuvered in her life, Drea is not going to do well, moving forward. She's pushing 40. And ladies, we all know, as we get older, and if you're not married, and the older you get, I'm not saying you're not going to get married. What I'm saying is that your pool of choices gets smaller and smaller, because it's not that you can't marry a man. It's plenty of men out here. It's I'm talking about the man that you want. That's the difference. So Drea is acting out of desperation. Drea needs some more money. And Drea has not invested in herself over the years, because Drea has used her pretty privilege to go from man to man to man. And these men have basically paid for her life and her lifestyle. And that's the only thing that Drea knows. Only thing she knows is when she needs money, go get a man. Go find a man that's going to pay for something. And Drea will go somewhere and smile, turn her head to the side, please, and this and that. And she'll probably get what she wants. But see, after a while, these men get tired of that. They get tired. They don't want to be bothered with you, especially when you're getting older. They want the young ones coming out the gate. They don't want you after a while. And Drea realizes it. And that's why the pretty privilege, the dark side of pretty privilege, that's why it's really sad, because these women usually go out sad. They wasted their life, doing using their looks and their body to do everything on the negative side, that the outcome is just not good. These women are doing OnlyFans, going to Dubai, just escorting. It's rumored, I don't know if it's true or not, that AD from Love is Blind was she was an escort. She had a sugar daddy or whatever the case may be. And that's what these young women are doing now, and they don't realize the ramifications of when you're young like this, using your looks and your body with men, because it's after a while you're going to wish you didn't, because of the simple fact you're going to have nothing in the end. You're going to have nothing in the end. You're really not. Because young women, you have to invest in yourself. You have to. We live in an era now where this is not the days of old where you find a man, get married, and you with him for the rest of your life. We're not living like that. Women today, you have to have your own. You cannot be fully dependent on a man. That's something you cannot do anymore. And I'm not saying that you have to take care of a man or do 50-50, because I ain't with all that either. Or what I'm saying is that you have to be self-sufficient. You have to be able to take care of yourself. Everything about you, you have to be able to take care of. You have to pay your rent, work, pay for your own hair, nails, clothes, and everything else. If a man comes along and he's ready to pay for all that for you, then great. Girl, go shopping, run it up, run it up. But you know, women today really have to have their own, and I don't care what you look like. It ain't got nothing to do with pretty privilege. It's overall, because life is harder now. And because life is harder, men now are not putting out as much as they used to, and men are not doing as much as they used to. Even wealthy men. Even wealthy men are starting to be like, you know what? I don't mind putting out a few dollars or whatever, but this is getting to be too much. Because you got to look at it from that man's point of view. If we're in inflation and you keep going to this man for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, after a while, he's going to be like, listen, what's all this money going to? Because now you starting to get on my nerves. And see, that's what it is. So women have to start being more self-sufficient. And I don't care what you look like. That's just some good advice. All this running around looking for a man to take care of you, all this old soft life stuff, all that is fine. I have nothing against women who want the soft life or anything close to that. I have nothing against that. But you also need to be self sufficient in case that man can no longer give you that. So that when he's gone, you still can pay the bills and still keep your standards of living. So I'm getting ready to close this out. I was just talking about, getting a video up here about the dark side of pretty privilege, because there definitely is a dark side. It's not as, all roses and diamonds like everybody think it is, and how people portray it on Instagram. People get on these social media streets and they be lying to these people out here on the tickety talks and on these other apps, telling these people how they live the soft life and how it's this and how it's that. And in reality, is not. A lot of these women are controlled. A lot of these women are mistreated. A lot of these women are abused. So it's not what people think it is. And I'm tired of these women getting on these apps, especially on TikTok. Oh, get ready with me. A day in my soft life. A day of a kept woman. A day of a sugar baby. Y'all need to stop all that mess, because it's a bunch of lies, and you're lying to other young women out here and not telling them what is the real reality of your lifestyle. So, young women today, you need to educate yourself. You need to have a way of taking care of yourself, and you need to make sure that you provide a roof over your head and keep a roof over your head. And that's what you need to be doing. There's nothing wrong with a man coming along and paying bills and helping out or whatever you got going on, but you always got to have your own, because these days these men is following a new set of rules now. So women, you have to be smarter. That's all it is to it. Well, I'm gonna close this out. I'll be back. I'm going to get up the psychology of women in teen years, part two, and I have a 2A coming with that also. So look out for that. So thank you everyone for tuning in. You know, I got to keep these videos under 30 minutes until I can get to my 1,000 subscribers. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and I will be back again. Have a great one, guys.